Find the relative extrema of f of x is equal to x plus 2 to the 2/3 power. We're going to make use of the first derivative test, which means we're going to look for any values that aren't in the domain of the function. We're going to look for the function's critical numbers. We're going to use those values to create a sign chart, and then from the sign chart we're going to look for places in the domain of the function where the function's behavior changes from increasing to decreasing or from decreasing to increasing. So by the chain rule, f prime of x is going to end up being equal to 2/3 times x plus 2 to the negative 1/3 times the derivative of what's inside, which is 1. In other words, I'm letting u be equal to x plus 2. Derivative of u to the 2/3 is 2/3 u to the negative 1/3. And then since u is x plus 2, the derivative of x plus 2 is exactly 1. If I rewrite this a little bit, I'm going to get 2 divided by 3 times x plus 2 to the 1/3 power. Now, the original function is defined everywhere. We can take cube roots of any number, we can square any number, so the domain is all real numbers. The derivative can't ever be 0 because all we have is a 2 on the top. There's no way to ever make that 0. So the only possibility we have for this thing is making the derivative undefined, which would occur if we have a 0 in the denominator. And I hope it's fairly clear to see that when x is negative 2, the derivative will end up being undefined. So we have a fairly simple sign chart here. We're going to consider what happens at negative 2. I'm going to look at the first derivative, f prime, at, let's say, negative 3 seems like an easy value on the left, and 0 on the right. So if we plug in 0 first, that's the easiest one into our derivative, so 2 divided by 3 times x plus 2 to the 1/3. Everything in here is positive. 0 plus 2 will be positive. We should end up with a positive value here, so we're going to be increasing on the right hand side. Negative 3, if we plug it in, well, it's going to make what's inside the parentheses negative, and the cube root of a negative 1 is still a negative 1, times 3 is a negative 3, 2 divided by a negative number is negative, so we're going to have decreasing behavior on this side. So we're decreasing on the left, increasing on the right. That looks like a relative minimum at negative 2. We just need to figure out what the function value is. So we need to consider f of negative 2. That goes again back into the original function negative 2 now. We're looking for a y value. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0. 0 to the third power is, or to the 2/3 power, excuse me, is 0. So we are going to have a relative minimum at the point negative 2 and 0. Graph it, take a look for yourself, and see what you see.